This program features live coverage of an African safari and may include animal kills and carcasses. Viewer discretion is advised.
Good evening, everybody. I am sitting here with this gorgeous Avoca male, and the bush is alive with the sound of predators. This is safariLIVE.
This is so exciting. We've managed to find the sausage tree pride.
Look at this last dash.
This is amazing. Look at that incredible strength.
20 seconds.
Here come the cheetah. Unbelievable stuff.
I'm just keeping my head on a swivel. You never know what's going to happen next in these situations.
Standing by.
Can you believe this?
Three, two, one. Live.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the western fringes of the great Kruger National Park. The full moon has just risen over the eastern horizon, casting this magnificent landscape in a dim blue light, where the impala rut has reached its incredible climax. Now, we're coming to you from two locations in Africa, the magical Masai Mara of Kenya, and of course here in our very own Kruger National Park. Please do talk to us using the hashtag safariLIVE. There's an impala making a noise next to me. You can send us your questions or comments. You can even ask us what you'd like to see, and we'll do our very best to find whatever it is that you want to see. My plan is to try and find Tlalamba, the young leopardess. She's been hunting around here. She's had at least 3 kills stolen by impala during the course of the week, and we're hoping to find her on the hunt today. Now, if you missed last week's episode, I mean, there's not much I can say for you, but I can tell you that this is what happened. Last week on safariLIVE, elegant, stunning Buchava devoured an impala and showed signs that she might have just given birth. The Torchwood Pride made a brief appearance. The impala rutting season reached its bizarre and hilarious climax, while the Nkahuma Pride learned once again that buffalo are no easy meal. Mother's Day was tinged with sadness as the news that the oldest Nkahuma lioness has died. But the celebration of motherhood ended on a high as we witnessed the birth of a healthy new wildebeest. This is safariLIVE. So a fascinating show we had last week, and hopefully this week will be exactly the same. There is one of the impala of which I was speaking a little bit earlier. They are, of course, completely obsessed at the moment with finding ladies. And that's all they're focused on. They don't eat, they don't think about predators, and that makes this a very dangerous time of the year for the impala. We're going to try and find one of the things that is most dangerous to them, and that, of course, is young Tlalamba, while we hand you over to Trishala and the Avoca Male Coalition.
Well, welcome aboard, everybody. I'm so ecstatic to be sitting here with this lion. Now, he is not alone. He has his brother very, very close by, and I'm hoping that they will come together to hunt as the night settles in. I am Trishala, and I have Sebastian on camera with me, and we are going to work together to bring you the best of the bush tonight. And we're going to start, of course, with these lovely lions right here. Now, I did say there's another one behind us, but he seems to be quite sleepy. But this guy has been slightly more active, and he actually roared for us a little earlier, and I am so sure that he will again. Now, he is the dominant male in this area, or the dominant part of the dominant coalition in the area. There are 3 of them, the Avoca males, and we have 2 with us tonight. Now, the third one is up in the north, but you'll find that they patrol a large area. So let's go and learn a little bit more about their territory.
It has been more than 2 years since the soft mewling of cubs blessed the Nkahuma Pride. The 6 sub-adults, fathered by the Birmingham boys in 2016, are now reaching maturity. The Birminghams have since moved south, and the Avoca coalition has taken control of the Nkuhuma Pride lands. They have been busy setting their boundaries and furthering their bloodline. Now, we wait for the fruits of their labours. Soon, with any luck, the Nkuhumas will once again experience the joy of little cubs.
The Avocas have certainly worked hard, and even though the Birmingham boys did leave the space vacant for them to kind of swoop in and take over, they certainly have worked hard to be very, very cozy with the Nkuhumas, and they have mated multiple times. Now, they have held this territory, or they were first seen in about mid to early 2018, so it's been not very long that they've been the holders here. So I hope that they will be around for much longer. Now, like we explained in that clip, the Nkuhumas are the pride that are usually associated with these Avoca males, and they are not around at the moment. So we're wondering, what are they doing around here? And maybe they will be on the hunt this evening, which is exactly what I would hope for. Anyway, maybe he will get up in a bit. Now I'm going to sit around and wait. In the meantime, let me send you to Jamie Patterson to say good evening.
Territory means a lot of different things to a lot of different animals, and for most of them it means everything, including survival, even when it comes down to a little pan like this. Now, what you're looking at right now is a thermal image using a FLIR camera of a hippopotamus that has made this ever-shrinking waterhole his home. We've nicknamed him Scuba Steve, and he's at a waterhole we call Buffelshoek. But now, as we enter into the dry season, he has found himself left with little but a puddle remaining. And of course, there's very few other places that he can go to. And the water is slowly but surely diminishing. Well, life is tough for all creatures out here, but it always plays out in spectacular sightings for us. One of the most incredible things I've ever seen in my entire life was a coalition of 5 male cheetah in the Masai Mara, and Scott got to witness them working together as a team.
Hello everyone, and welcome to the Masai Mara. You can see 2 of 5 male cheetah, and they are heading straight towards some wildebeest. My name is Scott. This is just incredible. Look at this. Can you believe it? The sun set about 20 minutes ago, and these cheetah certainly look like they mean some serious business. They are focusing mainly on the young canoes as and when the opportunity allows it, but they can and have been known to take down fully grown wildebeest. It's an epic battle between predator and prey. Certainly dangerous for these cheetah to take on the larger wildebeest, and it can take them as long as half an hour to dispatch them. Isn't this amazing? Come on, guys, what are you going to do?
I can safely tell you that without giving away the ending, I have never seen a cheetah hunt in the way those 5 do. Obviously, you can see why our thermal camera comes in so useful, because that hippopotamus is just beyond the range of our infrared lights. The reason that we're here is because up until about 10 minutes before the start of this drive, we actually had a leopard, and he was not far away from where we are at all. His name is Tingana. He is the Duke of Djuma, and I'm waiting for him to call again so that I can find him, since he ditched me in some thick vegetation. So while I sit and listen and wait, don't go anywhere. The Duke will emerge. We will be able to show him to you, but to come back after the break.
seems to have flopped down, and I'm a bit surprised because I did really think it was an awesome sign that he had gotten up and rolled over a bit and then started to call. But it seems that he is still a little tired. Eyes are even closed. Totally relaxed at the moment. But I can still hear impalas faintly in the distance, just a little bit. So it's not as if there is a lack of things going around, or a lack of prey. So hopefully they will be up very, very soon. Now the other brother seems to have been very, very silent. And not only was he very silent, he seemed to might have moved just a little bit. Oh, yes. Maybe you'd like to get up. No. Very sweet. Oh, he let out a bit of a huff there. Are you getting frustrated waiting for your mates? His eyes are still open even though he's lying flat like that. You can just see the glint. Welcome back, everybody. We are, of course, live and sitting here with the Avoca male. Now, this particular male, he is the blonde Avoca, and there are three of them. There's the blonde Avoca, the dark-maned Avoca, and, of course, the mohawk Avoca. Now, the mohawked one was the brother that I was telling you is around as well, quite close to this one, but he seems to have moved just a little bit. So I'm going to stick around with Blondie here and see what he gets up to. Now, I have a feeling he's going to sit around and wait until somebody else joins him because he's been calling quite a bit, but he doesn't seem to be moving or very active. Zane, you'd like to know if lions cover a larger distance at night compared to the day. Well, during the night, you would know that they hunt mainly once the sun sets, and that offers them a lot of sort of cover, and they have developed in the way in order to hunt at night, including their eye structure, but we'll chat about that in a moment. During the day, they can definitely move around as well, especially if they have a really large territory, but you will find that large territories require more members in a coalition, and the smaller the coalition, the smaller the territory is. So they can definitely move around a bit, quite a bit, both in the day and in the nighttime. But in the day, remember that it is quite warm, and predators don't do very well in the heat of the day because they need quite a lot of energy to keep themselves cool. So you'll find that in the day they spend a lot of the time just kind of lying around and sleeping. But there is a cat that does like to take down animals in the day, and that is the cheetah. Well, we saw not long ago that Scott had those musketeers on the hunt, so let's see how that went.
Well, the cheetah are certainly not on the move. The wildebeest are. Now, what is going to happen? You literally saw the front wildebeest start streaming past these cheetah, and there's a lot more to come. I'm guessing there's still about another 100 wildebeest that will come streaming past these cheetah, and most of the young wildebeest are at the back of the herd. And As soon as a youngster strays close enough to them, I think these guys might surge at them. Look at the way they flatten themselves to the ground. The wildebeest, it's hard to believe, but they've got no idea whatsoever that these cheetah are here. And there's 5 of them, only about 30 meters away. Oof. Now what is going to happen?
As I said, I have never ever seen cheetah hunt in the way in which those 5 boys do. They really, really do have mastered a way of working as a team, and it is a completely different approach to the typical stalk and chase of a single cheetah. Speaking of stalk and chase, that is exactly what Tingana is hoping to do this evening. I made some bold statements as we went into the ad break. I said he will come out and we will find him. And what I'm doing at the moment is sort of working on a combination of gut instinct and hope that we're going to encounter him somewhere along this road. What he has been doing is he's been hunting, but in a typical Tingana way. He's been hunting and then stopping to call. And of course, that's an all-important part of being a dominant male leopard. If he didn't do that, his rivals are waiting in the wings. And speaking of Tingana, of course, he really is a true duke.
Male leopard territories normally encompass 2 or 3 female domains. When females come into estrus, they will often leave their own territories in a fervent search for the dominant male. So it was that a young, unknown leopardess sought out Tingana, performing a typically seductive mating dance for the old duke. For days, she followed her chosen lover, harassing him until he complied with her demands. We have wondered for some time now if Tingana had perhaps sired his last litter. He's no spring chicken. But, with any luck, the Duke's liaison with this pretty young leopardess will birth him yet another generation.
Tingana might not be a spring chicken, but don't count him out just yet. Thanks to his dominance over this area, there are lots of young leopards wandering about, searching for territories of their own. Tlalamba, of course, being a prime example. This is not a leopard. Just in case you needed me to clarify that, this is in fact a scrub hare. It would be but a snack for the hunting Tingana. In fact, I don't think he would even bother to invest the energy in trying to hunt it. Tlalamba, on the other hand, well, that would be a different story as she grows up and learns. These scrub hares are hidden very carefully in the grass, but nothing hides better than a chameleon in a tree.
Yes, nothing does hug better than chameleons in a tree. And also, I'd just like to say, not being a spring chicken myself, that Tingana is my favourite leopard in this area. And so, were we to see him today, I'd be very delighted, even if it was Jamie that saw him. This chameleon, flap-necked chameleon, is hugging its branch with great enthusiasm. It does not want to fall off the tree, because it will then probably be eaten by something. And I explained last week how they're actually very easy to see at night, except when you put a light on them. And now we've put a light on this chap, and he's turned quite dark. And his little eyes are looking at me. Well, one of them's looking at me. I don't know if you can see the eyes moving. Yep. Isn't that amazing? And it's one of the only creatures in the world that's able to move its eyes in different directions completely independently of each other. And I just think he's a very special chap. We were talking about the hunting techniques of those cheetah, those 5 male cheetah up in the Mara. And while this chap's hunting technique is absolutely nothing like theirs, to me it is equally impressive. In his mouth, he has got a very sticky telescopic tongue that folds onto a spike like a sort of, basically where your tongue is, there's a spike. And this telescopic tongue with a sticky end folds onto the spike, and when it spots an insect like a grasshopper that it wants to eat, it shoots it out. The insect sticks to it and it sucks right back into the mouth, and then the look of satisfaction on the flap-necked chameleon's face is profound. Magic Dragon Wizard, what's an appropriate name for your comment? You say, it looks like a little dragon. Well, I'm not sure it looks like a dragon. I've never seen anything that looks quite like a chameleon before. I just hope it doesn't breathe fire on me now, because I don't want to be incinerated on live television. Right, we're going to leave this little fellow and let him go back to his rest, because they do sleep at night, of course. And we're going to continue going up the road and hoping to find Tlalamba. In the meantime, let us go back to Trishala and the Avoca's, although I think she only has 2 of them.
I'm so glad that James found a chameleon, because I love them. And I always try to look out for them as I drive through the darkness. But I'm not looking for chameleons tonight, because I was lucky enough to come across these guys. And he lifted his head slightly, but not enough for me to indicate that he's going to be on the move just yet. But still, the night is young, and he may just be waiting for the right moment. Now, there are a few impalas around. We could hear them sort of gurgling and rutting in the corners. So there is plenty around if and when he feels like getting up. Now, I do think they are hungry, because the tummies don't look particularly full. So I definitely think tonight they will be out on the hunt. Now, he's been getting up every so often, contact calling and then roaring as well, so it's only a matter of time until he gets up and is joined by somebody else. So don't go anywhere. Well, there seems to be a small speck of grass that looks like it's going to be tickling him. Maybe it's trying to get him to wake up and say, "Come, guy, it's time. Enough of this sleeping." He clearly doesn't think much about what I said. He's not moving at all. It's actually quite strange, because he'll get up every now and then call. That's why I'm so convinced that he's waiting for somebody else to join him. Welcome back, everybody. And as you know, we are absolutely live, so remember to give us your questions and your comments using that hashtag safariLIVE. So this is happening right now. I am currently sitting with this Avoca male lion right now, live in the Sabi Sands in Djuma. So this is really, really exciting. And he's gotten up to roar, so I want him very much to do it again, because it is truly a magnificent sound. You can feel the vibrations coming through you. It's absolutely amazing. So I really hope that he will decide that he's getting paid enough to be on camera and that he can roar for us. Now, they can be up in a matter of a second. So though he looks this way, he can get up immediately. As soon as something gets his attention, he will be up and about. Now, you would have remembered them from the last time that I had them, and they were mating with the Nkahuma pride. So we're hoping that maybe there'll be cubs on the horizon, and that would just be awesome for us here at safariLIVE. But there have been other cubs, like the ones up in the Masai Mara, the Sausage Tree Pride cubs, and they were particularly playful after a bout of rain.
Now, you may not be able to see from here. I'll see if Manu can get you a good shot. There's actually a buffalo carcass just behind the cubs. There we go. That they caught this morning. So they're all playing right beside the carcass. And they're really going for it. And play is a wonderful thing to see in young animals. Oh, wow. It's taken us some time to find the Sausage Tree Pride, and I'm not going to lie, I'm not sure how we're ever going to get out of here after the rains, but we will. But it's been worth it. Just look at them and look how soggy and wet they are after that torrential downpour. So play is ultimately fun. It's engaging for them. They're getting rid of all that energy, building up their muscle, learning how to coordinate, learning how to pounce and fight. They've came really close to us. We've been here for some time, and obviously they've just made their way closer to this carcass. We've got a few adults coming in, and we do actually have a male lion, which we won't be able to give you a view of right now, behind the vehicle. So there's quite a few adults around, including a very large male. Oh, there's Kinky Tail. Oh, hello, Kinky Tail.
Yes, play is certainly very, very important for basically all mammal babies. If in fact it weren't for play, animals would not be able to develop the skills that they need as adults. So even these big guys here that are now adult male lions, they would have also had moments where all they did was engage in play with their siblings. I think he's still very cute, though. Anyway, we have another cat around, and it seems that Jamie Patterson has finally caught up with him.
Phew, that does come as an absolute relief. I was wondering why Tingana, after walking around sawing for the last 2 hours, had suddenly gone completely silent, and I've just found the answer. It's because he's curled up in a ball in the grass having a little cat nap. So there we go, success! We managed to find the Duke himself. Oh, good morning. We're awake now, mister. And if we're really lucky, he might even give us that characteristic leopard roar, which of course sounds nothing like a lion's roar. Thank you very much. Right on cue. That is what a leopard's roar sounds like. We call it sawing, because it sounds as though a saw is being pulled through a giant piece of wood. There you go. That sound just reverberated through my chest, which gives us the opportunity to ask you to send through one word to describe the sound of a leopard sawing, how it makes you feel, or what you think of it. And you can send that through on hashtag safariLIVE on Twitter. Oh, is that exhausting, Tingana? That's seriously hard work for this time of the evening, especially on a Sunday. Now, I mentioned, of course, that Tingana is gradually aging. We're not counting him out just yet, but he is getting older, and I mentioned that his rivals are waiting in the wings, one of which is a young male in his prime. His name is Hukumuri, and he lives in the Wild West.
Establishing a territory gives male leopards access to mating rights. The Duke of Juma, Tingana, has defended his domain from a long line of intruders, the latest of which is Hukumuri. Tension fills the air when he makes his presence known. Nobody knows where this interloper originates. But he is a fatal threat to Tingana's offspring, Princess Tlalamba. Hukamuri is about 7 years old, in his prime. He casts his ambitious eyes over the aging Tingana's territory. His intense gaze is spine-chilling, while his powerful, grizzled physique is intimidating. Hukamuri is a calculating hunter, boasting patience, stealth, and skill. Is it perhaps time for Tingana to retire? Well, it would seem his day is not yet done. He recovered from a dreadful illness that almost allowed Hukamuri to stake a claim. Now, the old Duke's calls echo through the night in defiance of his age.
I don't think that Tingana's quite ready for retirement just yet. He is, however, quite enjoying a snooze. And Tingana, I would just like to remind you of something. When everyone said you were ill and that was the end of your time as a dominant male, I was one of your staunchest supporters from afar. And I want you to remember that next time that you disappear 10 minutes before a TV show. Okay, my boy? All right, just remember who your fans are. He's fast asleep. I've known this leopard for 4 years. He is a very special boy, and most importantly, he's got to hold on until Tlalamba is old enough to breed and be out of danger. I asked you earlier for your one-word tweet. Janet said magnificent. The leopard sawing is magnificent. I agree. These one-word tweets, of course, are also an ability for those of you who enjoy that sort of thing to bust out all the adjectives you've been staving up. I still feel as though reverberating is not a bad word for a one-word tweet. Take Care. Funny you should ask that. Take Care wants to know who last Tingana mated with. The answer is the skittish female that lives up in this top northeastern corner of Djuma and to the north in a property called Buffelshoek. She's a beautiful female, and there is a chance that that's why he's been going backwards and forwards, because that was about 3 months or so ago. So if she hasn't had cubs, there's a chance that she's coming back into estrus again. And you never know. Often where Tingana is, he seems to attract company regardless of whether or not he wants it. I've seen him in the past being harassed by females who've been keen on getting his gene line into their own offspring's gene pool. And what a successful gene pool it has been between Hosana, Tamba, Tlalamba, and various others actually that I can't think of off the top of my head. Well, fortunately I don't have to, because I'm saved by the imminent arrival of the ad break, which is going to happen in just a few short seconds. I told you I'd find Tingana and that you should come back. Well, once again, don't go anywhere. We'll see you soon. Okay. My word. This has been a really exhausting afternoon for those of you who are still watching on our internet show. He really pulled a dirty maneuver on me. He went straight feed off or feed into Buffelshoek Dam, where the Nkuhumas had that one litter of cubs all those years ago. He really, really did. And despite all of the bravado, I do feel as though I was starting to lose a bit of hope there. In fact, so much so, when I saw him, I doubted the evidence of my own eyes. All right, Tingana, I know I really wanted you to sit down, but now, you know, the TV audience is watching. Oh, I'm so demanding. I'm only joking. He can do whatever he wants. I'm just happy we found him. The Duke of Djuma. Well, becoming the Duke of Buffelshoek these days. Welcome back to your live game drive in the cool of a Sunday evening, where I think everybody's taking it easy, including our lovely leopard Tingana, who is snoozing away in the grass, looking as though he doesn't have a care in the world. As we've just told you, of course, he has plenty of cares, one of which is that everybody keeps calling him old, which, while unfortunately factual, probably doesn't make him feel particularly good about himself. I'm talking nonsense. He doesn't know what we're talking about at all. But he probably does feel a little bit older. And he's starting to look it as well. He's losing condition, muscle mass, ever slowly but surely. When I first encountered him, he was the biggest leopard I'd ever seen. He must have, in his prime, weighed somewhere around 85 odd kilograms, possibly even more. I mean, obviously it's difficult to guess, but he is seriously powerful. Now, getting older for a solitary animal like a Tingana comes with all sorts of challenges, including hunting, which he has to do all by himself, even as his reflexes are slow. Hunting for one animal is tricky, but when there's 5 of you, well, it's almost a foregone conclusion.
Oh, have they got a fright? This may trigger a chase. For a lot of predators, if their prey don't run from them... Oh, here they go! Here they go! Can you believe it? Just out of nowhere. You stay on that front one, VM. I'll keep an eye on the others. Yeah, it's going. It's going to get it. Oh, can you believe this? What a takedown. It looks like the other one might be going for another. Have they got 2, or is it just the one? No, they've just got the one. The others are coming back to help. This is a big wildebeest. They've still got their work cut out. That was such an incredible tackle. And can you believe how, just out of nowhere, they surged forward? Now, this may be hard for some of you, but it is nature. There's nothing we can do about this. They are trying to kill this wildebeest as quickly as they can, but I fear it may take some time. This is the biggest wildebeest I have seen them attack so far. What an incredible takedown that was. We are so lucky to be seeing these 5 cheetah do their business. Now, what we must all be aware of is that this wildebeest's bleats that it's letting out now, as saddening as it is to hear, it is also going to lure in any hyena or lion that may be in this area. So I'm scanning around, just making sure that no hyena come barreling in, or even worse than that, any lion. We've seen this coalition of 5 male cheetah lose a kill to just one single hyena. That already fed on most of it, but that is something we need to be aware of.
that was an unbelievable takedown by those Musketeers. Now, you would know cheetahs can run in excess of 100 kilometers per hour, but this guy right here, he looks very lazy and he cannot even reach that speed at all. So for him, you're looking at about 60 kilometers per hour at most for him when he is hunting. So there's a lot of differences between the cats and this guy. We're going to be chatting a little bit more about his role, or sort of how he's been adapted to live in his circumstance. Now, you would know that cheetahs, like you would have seen up in Kenya and the Masai Mara, they like grasslands and shorter grasses where there aren't big bushes and thickets with thorns for them to run through, because at that speed you will rip yourself open if you get snagged on any of those branches. So these lions, they have a different strategy. Keith, and you are only 7 years old and you have such an awesome question. You'd like to know why lions have a mane. Well, that links very nicely to what I was trying to chat to you about, and that is adaptation, how they developed to live in the wild like this. And they have that mane, that impressive mane, because of high levels of testosterone in their bodies. And that high level of testosterone promotes the growth of the mane and the darkening of the mane. And some of the reasons why they actually have the mane, or how it's useful for them, that thick band of hair around the neck is protective. So it means that when something tries to fight with it or grab hold of it, you have to get through the mane as well before you can actually get to the neck. Also, a mane is something impressive to the females, and the males that have these nice large manes can attract more females and is more likely to mate. All of those benefits, but the mane also makes them quite conspicuous in the grasses when they hunt, and that's why females do a lot of the hunting, but not exclusively all of it. They will both hunt together sometimes, especially if there's big things to be taken down. Anyway, James has found something very interesting that I am slightly jealous that I didn't get to see. So let's go to him.
Well, we found something very interesting but very disgusting. This is a porcupine, or rather it was a porcupine. It is now very much dead. And we don't know what killed it. We think it might have been Tlalamba, and we followed a hyena in here, and the hyena then rejected the porcupine out of hand, and something else has come. This was earlier today, and then something else came and fed on it, and we thought maybe that Tlalamba would have come back, but she hasn't. So something has fed on that porcupine, and I do apologize for the slightly gory details we're showing you, but the reason I am confident that it's been fed on since this afternoon is that the quills have now been almost totally removed. Now, what's interesting about that is that only a predator that has A, got time on its hands, and is B, a fastidious eater, is going to leave a pile of quills like that. And I think that it's Tlalamba. Where she's gone from here, I don't know. But I think she has come back, and I think she was chased off this porcupine a little bit earlier. So, if we can just quickly go back to the teeth, if that's possible. There we go. We've got David on camera, by the way, David Eastor. And those teeth are what marks this animal out as a rodent. So it's very closely related to a rat that you must possibly be scuttling about in your ceiling as we speak. It is the biggest rodent in Africa. Not the biggest in the world, but the biggest rodent in Africa. And I always think that's quite an amazing fact about the porcupine. So there it is. We're not going to hang around here for much longer. It's a little bit disgusting to be around here. We're going to go and learn a little bit more about Tlalamba while we continue to scour the landscape for that very leopard.
Princess Tlalamba was exploring as she waited for the Queen to return with news of their next meal. Daughter's friendly chuff was met with typical cantankerous impatience. Tundi let Tlalamba know she was in no mood for fun. There was a meal waiting and no time to waste. The mother huntress had already eaten, so she lay in the shade to watch as Tlalamba displayed a set of table manners and leopard skills best described as unrefined. Practice, we are told, makes perfect, and Tlalamba certainly managed a long and exhausting session of choking, dragging, and sort of hoisting. Tundi observed in patient protection as the lessons unfolded. Then, once more, revealed her gentle and loving maternal side.
So as you can see, Tlalamba took quite a lot of practice before she became adept at killing and hoisting, and now she's completely independent, of course, and able to do all her killing and hunting and hoisting all herself. You're going to go away for a little break now. We are going to continue the search for that elusive princess, and hopefully when you come back, we'll have her in our grasp.
Alrighty, well, watch him now. At this stage, turn his face away again. To reposition. It's just me. Sorry, boy, it's just leaves in the bottom of my car. With my foot touching one. Sorry, mister. Sorry, T. Too scared to move now. There's so many leaves in my car. Courtesy of our journey this afternoon. Please don't turn your head away in the next 30 seconds. Be very disgruntled. He's heard something. Just going to do a quick spot check. And you're back on your live nighttime game drive here in the sort of western fringes of the greater Kruger National Park. And the Duke of Djuma has deigned to lift up his head awake from his slumber, for at least for now, and giving us a chance to see just how warm his body is. And I'm astounded that he's able to retain such heat on an evening that is rapidly cooling down, but that is largely just because, of course, he's got that beautiful spotted fur coat. So Tingana is curled up right on the edge of Djuma and close to the northern boundary of his territory, and it doesn't look as though he's planning on going anywhere just yet, but he did hear something a little bit to the north of us. There is one of his rivals shares a boundary quite close to where we are now, so it's possible that he heard him. Oh, we're going to get a big yawn. Are we going to get a saw? I briefly touched upon it earlier while we wait for him to soar, and that I was going to tell you a little bit about the lovely Tlalamba and why her fate is tied to his. But before I do that, you of course haven't heard the end of Scott's Musketeer tales, and My word. I hope you caught that. Right. And with that, Tengan is very keen to hear the end of the Musketeer tale, which, as things so often do, ended up with a hyena.
Look at these two having a go at one another. Now, this behavior, we don't know who's who yet, and it's difficult in a chaotic sighting like this for me to even have a guess. But obviously the male with the collar is easy to distinguish. He is one of the biggest of these 5, and there is another big one. So there's 2 that are distinctly bigger than the others, and it looks like he's been showing that slightly smaller one who is boss. Oh, here comes the first hyena on the left. Already the first hyena's here. On cue. What is it going to do? Is it going to charge in and try and chase them all off alone? It's just doing the maths first. It is coming closer now. It's cleverly probably going to come behind the vehicles using a bit of our cover to sneak up on them. And it may well try and call in reinforcements and other hyena like... Oh, here it comes on the left. Now, they haven't had a mouthful of this. Look at this. Very characteristic maneuver that the cheetah use. They lift their front legs up high and slam them down onto the ground to make themselves look more fierce and impressive. Now, is this hyena going to be greedy, keep quiet and try and keep all of this for itself? Or is it going to call out to the rest of the clan for reinforcements? It's an interesting scenario that plays out, that a hyena has options to be selfish or to be greedy. If he calls in the rest of the clan, it knows it's going to have its work cut out for it. Lots of competition. This cheetah also knows it needs to start eating as quickly as possible. The hyena is still just sitting off on the side there patiently, and it appears like it is taking the selfish route as opposed to calling in the rest of the clan to chase off these cheetah.
Cheetahs are certainly not the only animals that have issues with hyenas. This guy does too, and he's finally opened his eyes to say good evening to you all. So he certainly is alive, even though he looked like a lump of nothingness as he sat sleeping. But he is alive, and he is certainly awake, and now I hope that he will get up and maybe put on a bit of a show for us. Oh, there goes one paw. Oh, I feel a stretch coming on. Are you going to stretch for us? Please do. No. Lebo, you have a really interesting question. You'd like to know if a snake, or rather would a lion get bitten by a snake, and if so, what would happen? Well, definitely it's possible that a lion would do that. And I think especially for little cubs that are particularly curious and will play with a snake, that they have the possibility of bitten, definitely. Now, a large male like this, on areas like the paws or the face where he'd actually get up close and personal with a snake, he could definitely get struck. But the thick hair, the fur around him, and of course on his paws, it is slightly furry as well, means that it'll be harder to penetrate those areas. And so though it is possible, I don't think it happens very, very often. So lions tend not to play with snakes very much at all. Oh, and there's our stretch. Absolutely stunning. Well, I think that he will get up now. This is usually what happens with lions. They stretch, they defecate, and they start to call. And then they could be out on the move. But while we give him a little more time to get up and running, let us have a look at that lovely scene that Lauren had with those Sausage Tree Pride cubs.
Wow, we're surrounded by lions. This is the moment we've all been waiting for. A little catch up to see exactly how the cubs are doing, and it looks like they're doing just fine. Now, within a pride, the female lionesses are very, very loving towards one another. You can really see it. You can see the way they nudge each other's heads, they lick each other, they all take turns at grooming the cubs. I'm so grateful that the rain has gone. This is such a magical sighting. Oh. Now, some of the viewers are wondering exactly who the cubs belong to. Now, believe it or not, it's going to be difficult to explain. There's actually different ages within the cub. There's a very, very young one right in the middle here. All the other cubs are pouncing on it. That's the youngest one. And then we've got some slightly older ones and then some slightly older ones. They do not all belong to the same female. Well, unfortunately, the reality of nature out here is that all predators will attack other predators young. So most big predators, especially your cats and, your hyenas and even wild dogs, your sort of top predators, will indeed hide their little young ones in a den. Now, with lions, they normally start to bring their cubs out of the den and interact with the pride at around 6 weeks. So that's how you can sort of gauge an age of these little cubs. So yes, unfortunately, that is how it works. All predators would attack another predator's young. Leopards, lions, hyenas, dogs, cheetah. Unfortunately. So they need to keep the cubs hidden for a little while, and once the cubs are out the den, they do need to stay with them and protect them themselves. And that's what a pride unit is for. A pride unit is such a wonderful thing. It's a very cohesive, a very strong bond for lions. There's nothing quite like it.
Lion cubs are absolutely adorable, especially muddy, soggy ones. Leopard cubs, on the other hand, well, they're actually equally adorable, and Tingana has been largely responsible for most of our leopard sightings over the past 4 or so years. And we, of course, look forward to many, many more. Speaking of looking forward to things, it is, of course, the end of tonight's live game drive. We'll see you again, same time, same place next week. Thanks for joining us, and enjoy the last few hours of your weekend.